Alrighty, joining me now is an elite punter out of the University of Illinois, out of the Assumption College football factory over here in Australia. Number 19 for the Fighting Illinois, it's Hugh the Bull Robertson. How are you, mate?
Good, mate. Thanks for having me on, Tom. I appreciate you being here. And just to clarify, it's Fighting Illini, not Illinois. My mum gets that wrong a fair bit. No, I was going to correct them.
Yeah, good, because I've been saying that for like 3 weeks since we know you've been coming on. So actually, we'll blame Boggo for that. He told me it was the Illinois.
Yeah. So Illini the next time.
It is a bit of it is an odd name, but where's that? Is it just Illinois? It's shorter, or?
Well, I think back in the day they were called the Illinois Chiefs or something or rather. I'd have to brush up on my history on that. But they had to do a rebrand because of like political correctness and all that sort of thing, and it was obviously looked pretty bad for Native Americans over here. So that's why they sort of changed the name, and now it's Fighting Illini. I don't even know what that sort of really means, but I think it's something to do with the members of the University of Illinois that went to war for World War I and II and fought in that and sacrificed their lives.
Yep, right, fair enough. It's
pretty good meaning behind it.
A history lesson just as we start.
Yeah, there you go. Who would have thought?
Who would have thought? I definitely didn't think it. So, No, I do. I appreciate you coming on, mate. Like I said, as we were chatting, it's all about you. It's not about me. But I do want to start off by, we'll talk a little bit about your life in Australia. You grew up over here in Victoria, in Melbourne. How was life growing up? Did you enjoy childhood? How was life over here?
Yeah, good, mate. Yeah, childhood was really good. I lived in, Gowanbray at all. It's sort of near Airport West area.
I do know Gowanbray.
Yeah. So I grew up there in Moonee Ponds area when I was a young boy, and went to school at Strathmore, and then finished off at going to high school. Went to Penley Nesson and Grammar. So went there for a few years. Loved childhood and everything, and then. Last 2 years of high school, went and moved to boarding school in Assumption College, as you mentioned earlier, the football factory there, and lived in the boarding school there in Kilmore, which was it was good fun. That was really good time in my life, honestly.
Yeah. Was that for sporting reasons, or why did you move up there? Because Pegs is a pretty good school as well.
Yeah,
from what I've heard.
Pegs is a fantastic school, and if things had been a bit better, like family life back home and everything, was sort of personal things that made the move a lot easier for me and my family. So that was the plan, and it's worked out pretty well now.
Yeah, absolutely. Did you say you enjoyed your time at Assumption?
Yeah, I loved it there. It's sort of I remember playing football with Ray Carroll. And Scotty Wines, and you probably remember them names.
We definitely do, mate.
But yeah, played football there, and then obviously went to boarding school and finished high school, and then I had a great time. Boys at the boarding school were awesome lads, and we used to get into a lot of punch-ons in the hallway, which is good fun, and it was always a bit of masculinity jumping around, and a bit of aggression jumping around, but that's part of growing up. So it was good times. I wouldn't change it for anything.
Yeah, grouse. You mentioned that you played football, obviously, before you became a punter. What kind of player were you?
So I usually I had mostly centre forward and full forward at Pegs and in at Assumption. And then for one season, I played later on in life. Sort of played in at Seymour. Played a season at full back and had a bit of success there. So had a decent year. So I guess everyone wanted me to play at full back again after that. But I ended up switching back to centre forward just before I decided to give up football and come over here.
Yeah. So the Bull, is that football related, or how'd you get that nickname? That's all on Boggo. You have to. He's told me all this.
That was a nickname that came up from the Aces team. I couldn't work out why, but apparently it was just my attack on the ball and how I just wouldn't let anyone in front of me sort of get away with it easy if they decide to stay in front of me. So that was the reason for the Bull, and I think I was a pretty thick-bodied player, so it started bouncing off people, and then that was the nickname after the game.
Yeah, has that transferred over there, or is that purely an Australian nickname?
That's purely an Aces nickname. I think I had that for
Yeah,
one
right.
week, and then I still get it from the boys sometimes when they message me, and then that's about it. Doesn't really. I've gotten a lot of nicknames over the years.
Yeah, so the fact that I've been messaging you calling you the Bull, you're thinking, what a wanker is this bloke?
No, I could just tell. I just knew who set this conversation up. That's all.
Yeah, we'll blame. Yeah, it's all Bogo's fault this one. But,
nah, he's all right. He's a good bloke when he's asleep.
Yeah, let's not let it. He's got a big enough ego. We won't need to rub that anymore.
Yeah, that's right. That's
right. So after school, you went straight to the army. Is that right?
Yeah. So I finished high school and didn't really know what I wanted to do with my life. I was sort of stuck in. I was sort of stuck, a little bit stuck, and was going to go to school in Melbourne at RMIT and study engineering, and sort of didn't really have any passions that I really wanted to follow. So I decided I didn't want to just go and study a course for the sake of it. So went to the army for a year, did a gap year. So I had a gap year program. Did Kapuka, which is like the sort of basic training in the army up near Wagga Wagga. So went there and did the training there, and I had a great time. It was obviously tough times in the army and all sorts of stuff, and it's pretty brutal at times, but I got a lot out of it, and it was good for me being just turned 19 and able to mature a little bit and a little bit more about myself. But then went to Darwin for the end of my service and worked there for about 3 months as a tank driver. So I was driving around the big tank. So yeah, it was good fun. I wasn't really. I did during that time there. I got offered to stay on for a few more years and had to sign a contract for another 4 years and didn't really feel like that was for me. Just didn't really like the camaraderie and just there's a lot of parts like there's reasons I had for leaving and then left obviously, and then I wasn't able to play much football over there either, so I sort of missed football a little bit. Came back to Melbourne and joined the police force. I was a PSO for a little while. If you know what a PSO is, working on the trains in Melbourne, caused mischief. That was probably one of the worst jobs I've had in my life. But
I didn't want to say that, but yeah, I definitely know what a PSO is, and I wouldn't. No offense to them, but I wouldn't wish it upon anyone.
Yeah, so we sort of realised that was a bit of a slow time, but I mean, it was good. I got a lot of opportunities to travel with my best mate whilst I was there. So we went to South America and went to North America together. Sort of fell in love with traveling, getting away, and sort of staying in hostels and moving around and doing hikes up in Peru and all sorts of stuff. So got around that a little bit, and then we went for 2 months in America and just fell in love with America. After the PSO part, I transitioned to the police force for I was 4 years in the PSOs, which is 4 years way too long, and then it jumped across the police, and I enjoyed the policing. It was really good, pretty busy at times and pretty stressful at times. And I could have seen myself doing it, and then this opportunity came out of nowhere. Basically, just had an interest in living overseas and sort of either now or never. So I sort of decided to pull the pin and move to America, and now this is where I am now. So I've been here for 2 years.
Grouse, you're a good interview because all these questions I have, you've just ticked off straight away. So
shit, sorry, mate.
No, that's good, perfect. Did you went through Pro Kick? Is that right?
Yeah, Chappie and Nathan Chapman and John Smith, they sort of run Pro Kick down in at the time was Box Hill and Glen Waverley and Gardner Park in not Oak Park. Sort of around that area. I forget the name of it. It's near sort of. I can't remember, to be honest. But yeah,
that's not Paco or something like that, is it? I'm just trying to think.
Nah,
off the top of my
not
head.
Oak Park. It's sort of the east. I'm not sure the eastern suburbs as well as the western suburbs.
Definitely not Oak Park then.
No. I used to play against Oak Park a bit, so I know where that is. But the eastern suburbs a bit. It's off on the tip of my tongue. But it's sort of near Camberwell sort of area. But yeah, I literally, it was a crazy story. Like I was doing pre-season for my local football club up in Strathfield, say, in Bendigo. I was living in Bendigo at the time, working in the police force there. And and I went. I was at practice, and sorry, I'm calling it practice now. I've been in America too long. I was at footy training.
Training,
Yeah, training. And I was kicking, it was like pre-season, I was kicking with one of the guys, and I was talking about my trip in America and how I loved it there, and I'd consider moving overseas and living somewhere else, just not sure about the police force anymore. And he sort of recommended to give these guys a call. So I didn't call them, I emailed them, and 3 months later, Johnny got back to me. And if you meet Johnny one day, if you guys can talk, you won't get a word in for about 3 hours with him. That guy could talk underwater, honestly.
Yeah, perfect.
But yeah. Anyway, he sent him an email. He got back to me and said, "Oh, what are you doing this Sunday? Like, do you want to come down?" So I had Sunday off work, so I decided we played a pracky match the day before. And then I got home about probably midnight. I think we had a few beers that night as well. Got home, and then next morning drove down to Melbourne, and then got to pro kick training. I can't believe that's a bad habit I'm getting in. I've become way too American, aren't I?
You call it whatever you want, mate.
Well, I'm losing my Australian heritage.
Yeah, we'll have to keep in touch. So we'll keep you as an Aussie through and through.
Yeah. Bloody hell. So went down there, and Chappie threw me a couple of balls, and I reckon I shanked about all of them, but I think one of them I got onto, and hit that a decent ball, and I wasn't really sure what the game was. Had no idea what American football was or what it was all about. I just knew, I just was literally going along with the flow, and it created an opportunity because I finished the football season that year, and Stratford Day actually won the premiership. So I was glad that was my first premiership that I ever won. So that was an awesome experience, and that's the same year played Aces. And then at the end of the season, decided to give up football for good. Well, not for good. Might be back there one day, and give this a red hot crack and see where it takes me. And then,
so was it the fire was lit then? Like you did that Sunday and thought, you know what, let's fucking have a crack at this.
I took a lot of conversations with both the Chappie and Johnny. At first, I thought it was a bit of a hoax, and I didn't really believe in it, or didn't know, because they were sort of saying oh, we can get you over to America, you'll be playing football and getting an education. I was like, yeah, I'm not sure. Coming from a background, just being a police officer and a PSO, it's a big jump. And for me, it was sort of I just went for it and spent about. I was living in Bendigo at the time. Spent about 6 months commuting down to Melbourne and working full time in the police force. So to just practice, to train three days a week, and then did that for about 6 months, and then just before COVID, he got the call up and from Illinois, and the coach sort of gave me a guided tour on FaceTime through the facility, and then basically offered me a full scholarship to come and play football here and get an education. So it was pretty exciting. I was there with my dad when it happened, and I was pretty emotional because football's been one of those things that I've always wanted to, especially AFL. I've always dreamt to play in AFL, and just various reasons hasn't worked out, and it's part of the game. And this gave me a second opportunity and possibly a last opportunity because considering my age, so I thought I'd go for it.
So were they shipping your names out to college, or how did Illinois get your name?
Yeah, so how it works is we sort of go to practice down in Melbourne, and you sort of practice kick punting and learning how to be more efficient with your feet and be quicker with handling the ball. Because obviously as a punter, it's sort of different to AFL because you catch the snap and you basically, but within 1.2 seconds, you got to catch the snap and let go a decent spiral every time, like a decent torpedo every time. So it takes a bit of getting used to, and it's one of those things that it was a lot of frustration, a lot of not knowing if it's going to lead anywhere, but just sort of kept going, kept coming down, and then they you get some film of you kicking, and then they send that film off to different colleges, and they speak to the coaches from those colleges and sort of talk about you and recommend they recommend to you basically what school they think you will suit. And Illinois happened to be the college that they thought I suited, so I sort of left left my life in their hands and just said yes and took the leap of faith, and it's worked out pretty well so far. So we're going pretty good this season.
It was we will get onto that, don't you worry. It was a bloody good jump, though. Leave your life in their hands, and it's, like you said, it's turned out pretty bloody well.
Yeah. Sometimes it's sort of part of it, part of the adventure. And for me, it was sort of the experience, being able to, I wanted to live in America. I've always wanted to live overseas. And now I'm able to do that and be busy, work, basically football is like a full-time job. And then you got school on top of it. So it gets pretty busy and gets quite frustrating sometimes, but I love it. It's awesome. I wouldn't go back to working in the police force right now, that's for sure.
What are you studying over there? Is it engineering?
No, I'm studying. So I'm doing studying business management with a minor in international business.
Yeah, and are you international business? Interesting, yeah. So very interesting. The fact that we'll go to it now. You're wearing a hoodie that you said you've started up your own business. So having the fact that you've got international business as you study, what is the hoodie about? What are we doing there?
So I've got a few sort of designs that are coming out soon. It's still early days, but the brand's Huey's. You better find it on hueys.co. You could put that in your URL. It's very early days, as I said, but give us a follow on Instagram. It's hueys.co and TikTok, hueys.cl. That'd be awesome. But yeah, it's a little brand that I'm sort of bringing around to the college students here, and it's catching on a bit. One of the best selling shirts is just one beer, because it's never just one beer, and that's one of the best sellers at the moment. So it's creating a bit of hype here, but it's still very early days. So, but I appreciate you letting me have a shout out for it.
No, absolutely, mate. Like I said, I'll be jumping on and buying a few and shipping them over here. So,
thanks, mate. I'll look after you with a little discount code or something.
Yeah, grass. Is that part of the course? Like, is it come from the course? Like you said, international business management. Is that kind of where it's going to?
No, not necessarily. I think the international business is something that I'm just interested in. With like a lot of traveling experience. My mum, when I was a kid, took me to. She was very fortunate. She would budget a lot during the year and at home and all sorts of stuff, and we were able to afford some pretty cool trips, like going to Africa and like going to Indonesia and Malaysia and Vietnam and all sorts of stuff. So it was something that it's always sort of been in my system. So for me, the international business thing was like just to carry on with that, and I enjoy going to different places and speaking to different cultures and all sorts of stuff. So a part of that was my reason for picking international business with the management major. But yeah, the shirt was just one of those things. I remember a few years ago, I was in St Kilda with my mate, and we're having a few cocktails, and
just one beer, mate. Just one.
just one beer. We only have one. It was meant to be just one, but no. So we were sort of chatting about it, and I half-assedly sort of mocked up a few designs on my phone, and then sort of it disintegrated out a little bit and petered out, as it does sometimes when those sort of things. And now I've got the time, and a lot more time, and sort of a bit more knowledge about like the business world, and like the sort of a bit more of a platform as well, with being with football and everything. It was good to be able to sort of start something that I'm really passionate about. So it's early days, as I said, but hopefully it goes somewhere in the future, and I'm looking forward to it, because it's a work in progress. So
yeah, grouse. Huge shout out to your mum. I know she's there with you, but I've got a young bloke who's going to Assumption now. So to be able to afford trips over to Africa and pay for pegs in Assumption, you've done pretty well there, I reckon.
Yeah, she's pretty good at it. She's done well through her life. She's been a fantastic mum, and Dad's been fantastic as well. He's always been at my football games and everything since I was a kid. So he's coming over here soon to watch a few games. Mum's just been here for 2 weeks, so she saw the Iowa game and Minnesota. So it's just been awesome showing her around and showing her my new life. But I was also going to mention, like, Mum's sort of me and Mum are sort of passionate about this site, Days for Girls. It's about sort of supplying. It's a sort of I'm blanking here. It's a charity sort of thing. It's a charity thing for women over in Africa and all other places, like more lower developed countries that aren't able to get education because of their periods. So me and Mum are working on becoming an ambassador for them and seeing what I could do with them in the future. But it's all still in the works as well. It's, as I said, it's all very early days, but I'm excited to see where it goes.
Mate, you're ticking all the boxes, mate. Like, you're younger than I am, only just. You're younger than I am, and making me look silly. It's great.
No, you should see some of the other kids here make me look silly, honestly.
We won't talk about that then. We will get into. We'll talk a bit more about your college life. So we spoke a little bit about what are your goals? Do you plan on hopefully getting in the NFL, or is it finishing study and coming back home, or what are the goals going forward?
I think sort of my age sort of puts a bit of a barrier on my ability to enter the NFL, as well as like I've got a lot of work to do on my position as well. Like I've got a lot of improving to do, and at the moment it's just like each week just sort of learning, seeing what else I can learn, and honestly I'm enjoying the team at the moment and just what we're doing. So my focus right now is just my school and the football team and doing whatever we can to get the win on every weekend, and who knows what sort of opportunities that can open up in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. So you have spoken about it. What's it for those of us over here? What's it really like running out and playing like college game day? I watch most weeks, and you see the big games. Like, what's it really like to run out in front of a huge crowd?
It's honestly awesome. Like it's so different. Like obviously back home we don't have the college sort of sporting experience. It's just the schools are massive here. Look, this school here has about 60,000 students, I think. So, and then you've got the whole the people that live in Champaign area and travel from Chicago to watch all the games. It's like we had 40,000 people there on the weekend. It's just quite an experience running out in front of that crowd and just hearing how loud it gets sometimes is unreal. It's similar to like the MCG every week, which is crazy. Coming back from I used to play obviously country football up in Bendigo, so we'd be lucky to have 1,000 people at a game, maybe 2,000 at the grand final. So compared to that, it's still I feel like I'm in a dream and I'm still pinching myself. But I'll tell you what, last year we played at Penn State in front of 100,000 people, and that's probably I think we won in the ninth overtime. Yeah, on a touchdown. So that was just like that raw, and then for that you could hear a pin drop afterwards with 100,000 people sitting there when we won the game. It was just unreal to see. It was one of the best sporting moments I've ever sort of been a part of, I think.
Yeah, I was about to say, do you remember your first game and your first punt and things like that? How nervous were you?
Well, I was actually at the exact same place for my first punt. We were at Penn State, but it was during the COVID pandemic, so there was no people in the stands whatsoever. So it was basically like negative 11 degrees on the field, and there was snow all on the sidelines piled up, and I'd never stepped on the field before to take a punt, and then it was the last game of the season, and I think we were down by a little bit, and my coach threw me in, and he's like, "Yeah, you want to have your first punt?" I was like, I'd been sitting on the bench for the whole year basically. So he threw me in first season, and I was like, "Yep, rightio."
Let's go.
You could see me out here. My breath. You could see the breath vaporizing in front of me, and my hands just freezing cold. Caught the ball and hit a nice spiral for the first one. Didn't go too far because of how cold the balls were, but I was pretty happy to get the first one out. Either way,
yeah, grouse. I can imagine like minus 11. Are you going Fahrenheit or are you in degrees? Which are you running there?
That's degrees. That's Celsius.
Yeah, fuck. That is freezing then. So I can imagine your hands. Are you wearing gloves? Like it's freezing there.
Oh, you sort of we have these hand warmer things. It's similar to like a pouch on your hoodie. and you put these hot pocket things in there to keep your hands warm. And for my position, it's quite important because basically your hands are everything. Same with holding field goals. If you don't have your warm hands, it's just like it could be a disaster. So that's the one thing I always make sure I've got is warm hands when I'm stepping on the field to take a ball. Because you don't want to, if you drop the ball, it's all your fault. So the whole world knows as well.
Oh yeah, and that's being replayed on the ESPN 5 times. And
correct. So to protect yourself, you sort of have to do that.
Smart. Question without notice. It's one I've always I love the NFL and I've always followed the NFL, but I've never actually spoken to a punter, so this is a perfect time to ask it. When you are back, are you calling for it to be snapped, or who's deciding when it gets snapped?
No, so in college, it's a little bit different than the NFL. So in NFL have a different sort of formation, but in college is more of a sort of a more spread out formation. So the shield players, like usually the big O-line guys that sit in front of you, they call out all the calls and everything like that, and they yell set. And then the ball gets snapped back to me, and that's when I gotta take my kick. And they do a great job of protecting me and all sort of stuff. And it's honestly it is an individual sport, but it's also a team sport because everyone has to all the players on the team have to have their own assignments. And they have to make tackles or like force fair catches. And the snapper has to bring a good snap back, and it's all basically a team game every snap for all positions.
Is that the same when you're holding for a punt? Like it's still they're running the cadence?
Holding.
Sorry, for a kick. Yeah, for a field.
Yeah. So when I'm holding the cadence. So I'm controlling the cadence there. So I've got my eyes on the play clock, and I'm sort of making sure the kick is ready to go, and I'm calling when the ball's going to be snapped, and then that's when everyone can move after that happens.
So are you feeling more pressure on a field goal or a punt?
No, I love field goals. Field goals, I love going in there for field goals because it's an easier job. Because when you got punt, there's so many things that can affect it. But like at the end of the day, field goals is just catching a ball and putting it on the spot. And the hardest part is just getting it right in the spot so the kicker's not pissed off with you.
Yeah, fair enough. And I guess if they miss, it normally comes down to the kicker's miss, not the punter's hold.
It's all three of us. It's we always our group takes the misses, the snapper, holder, and kicker, not individuals. We all put it on each other, which is a good sort of camaraderie thing that we have. Like we always sort of put on each other.
Yeah.
So when it's going well, it's all of our jobs. So it's a good thing.
Yeah. That's as long as you take the good when it is good, and you get the shit when it's shit.
You have to, because when it's shit, it can. Like I remember, like my first couple of games this season, I had some very bad punts, and I always had guys sitting next to me saying, "Next one, mate, next one." It's part of the game. You'll look back on this, and you'll get over it, and you'll get better from it. So it's just part of it. But when it's going good, you sort of have to celebrate those wins, because
absolutely.
The feeling is when it's not going well is pretty tough feeling, honestly.
Yeah. You do have to celebrate the wins, and speaking of the wins, I get a message every week from Boggo, just sending me your stats and showing me how you've gone. You're on a 5-game winning streak after you lost the second game, I reckon. So you're 6-1, and sitting 18th in the rankings. Is that
huge.
Was that where the team was expecting to be, or are you playing above expectations, or?
I think honestly, when we get there for the season, we don't really care about the rankings and all that sort of stuff. We sort of just go to practice and try our best to improve every day. Honestly, it's a political answer, but it is true. Like we try to take no notice of that, and I think every other team is the exact same. At the end of the day, you're just trying to be the best you out there and trying to perform at the best of your ability. So to get that. To number 18th ranking, I think we are now, and I think it's the first time we've been in the top 25 since 2011. So that's pretty exciting for the team, and we just got to keep that going because it's only halfway through the season now. So we got our eyes on bigger and better things. So we're hoping to go somewhere. We're eligible for a bowl game now, but I think we've got our eyes on higher expectations than that now. Just every player puts each other on really high expectations, so it's awesome.
Yeah, that is one of the questions I had up. That I'm pretty sure, is it 6 games once you win, you're guaranteed a bowl game?
Yeah, that's correct, mate. Sorry, I'll just chuck a light on quickly. It's getting dark here.
Oh no, yeah, it's only 10 o'clock in the morning here, so I think we'll be fine for lights.
Yeah, you'll be all right for another couple of hours. But it's been about 0 degrees here for the last couple of days, so there you go.
Lucky to hear his jumper comes in help.
Oh, there you go. You can see it now.
You can, yeah, grouse. Did you come up with the design?
Yeah, I came up with the logo myself, and basically just ask people I see around and said, "What do you think?" and try and get some feedback off them and what they like and don't like, and just go from there. It's more of a hobby rather than putting all my eggs in one basket. Try and spend as little as possible, but work on one thing every day and just see where it goes. I've got no expectations, but I'm just having fun with it.
Yeah, grouse. Is that the way you attack punting as well? Do you just focus on one thing per session or per training, as we would say?
That's the best way to go about it, because the issue with punting, like, that's one thing I find with punting. It's such a one-dimensional game. Like with football back home, you wouldn't really think about your kicks at all, because unless you're sort of kicking for goal, I suppose, that's when you might be doing it. But over here, that's your whole position. So it is easy to overthink it. And when I overthink it, that's when all punters, I think, overthink what they're doing. That's when they're going to get the poorest results. The less you can overthink it, the better I do. So one thing to work on every session is probably the best way to go about it. Sometimes I do a little bit more than one, and that's where I get into some issues.
Yep. I'm much the same. Overthink it, and you're in all sorts of trouble. I do overthink my kicks because I only get about 3 a game. So,
yeah, well, you got to think about it then, do you?
Yeah, and it's all taped these days, so I actually get to watch how shit I am. It's grouse.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, no, it's not. It's really not. But
I'm sure you're joking, but anyway.
Yeah, well, I don't want to talk myself up too much, but yeah, I did get best on ground and all these games, but.
Giants are pretty modest, so yeah, I believe that.
Michigan State at home this week. How are we going to go?
So we're going to buy this weekend.
That's what I meant. Next weekend, you got Michigan State at home.
No, we got Nebraska, actually.
Oh, what is this? I'm going to find it online. It told me Michigan State.
Didn't do his research, obviously.
He did. I'm Googling right now while I'm talking to you. But so what happens during a bye week? What's the bye week look like?
Well, Coach B suggested we might have the week off, but it doesn't look like that way because we're already halfway through the week and we've had 3 practices already. So
yeah, perfect.
So we've got a few more practices, and then we got Saturday off. So Friday afternoon, I'm gonna after we finish the workouts, I'm gonna take my mum to the airport in Chicago and try and show her a little bit around before a flight, and then head up to I got a wedding to go to in Michigan. So me and my girlfriend are heading up there for a wedding. So should be pretty good. Bit of a relax, and then on Sunday we'll come back and get ready for the next week, and then back to normal. But it's nice to give the body a rest for a week, that's for sure. Yeah, nice.
If I look at it now, you've got Nebraska, then Michigan State. So I was close.
You're close. Yeah, you're very close.
Yeah, but while I've got them here, let's have a look at some of the games. Like you finish off with 2. Is Northwestern? They've been written down as one of your rivals, but you got Michigan Wolverines, second last game. Like, what kind of when you've got games that kind of big, you'd rather finish off with those kind of big games, or?
Honestly, it doesn't really faze me at all when we play the big teams, and I honestly feel like they should be getting prepared for us at the moment because we're on a roll and we're very confident in our abilities. So we would be happy to take on any team in the competition right now, and we'll give them a run for their money. But yeah, I think it's going to be up at Michigan. It could be snow. It could be my first snow game. So I'm actually kind of excited for that. And it's not the best conditions for a punter and a holder. A snow game or a wet game, but I used to love wet weather footy back home. So
different story when it's snow, though, I imagine.
Yeah, definitely. apparently a few of the guys prefer snow over rain though, because snow's dry still, so you can sort of still handle the ball a bit, and the ball doesn't get as heavy as a wet ball.
Yeah, yeah. So as we said before, you're guaranteed a bowl game, but you said you've got bigger and better aspirations. I did read that you're still actually technically in contention for the playoffs. Is that what do you see as a successful season, like for you and the team?
A successful season is sort of, we've got some goals that we have at the team, and if we can knock those goals off, I think that's enough success for us. And then anything more than that is a bonus, really, because we sort of every year we set our goals, our 5 goals for the team, and if we can knock those off, then we consider that a successful season. So as long as we can hold our head up high at the end of the season, then we'll be happy with the result. That's for sure.
What about for yourself? What kind of goals do you have?
Me personally is honestly just go out there and do the best I can do to help the team win. I know it's another political.
Yeah, I was about to say it. It's the next snap. It's the next punt.
Yeah. It's a political answer, but it's true. Like since I sort of focus more on the games in this situation, my punting's improved, and so that's my goal, is just to keep doing that and putting my focus on the position of the game and not on my stats or anything like that, or my accolades or anything like that. Just literally play the game of football, because that's what I do my best, I think.
Yeah, awesome. I do have one just final question for you, but I want to thank you for actually coming on and speaking with us today, and hopefully we can get you on again in the future, and we'll have Boggo on here so we can actually he can tell a few more stories about you and. But I do appreciate you coming on.
Thanks for having me, Tommy. I appreciate it, man.
Absolutely. I'm looking at your stats now. What do you say when you're going out there? What do you actually? What's your aim? Is it to try and land it inside the 20, or like obviously it depends on how far back or where you are when you're punting it. But
Correct.
What are your goals and shit when you're actually out there?
So my goal for a punt would probably be a punt which is 45 yards or more, and a punt that has about 4.5 seconds of hang time, so that our coverage can get to the ball. They can't set up a return and return it for a touchdown. And if it lands inside the 20, inside the 10, that's even better. We've had a lot of punts that have sort of been close to the goal line, which has been pretty, that just shows how good our offense has been. So my job in that situation is just to get it as close to the touchdown line as possible without getting a touchback. And I think if I do that, then I've done my job for the team, honestly.
Well, I think it says here not one touchback for the season, so that's pretty. And you've had 9 that have landed inside the 20.
That's not bad.
Does that sound about right?
I'll keep doing that. I don't really look at
only. Well, I've got it all right in front of me now. You're averaging. Oh, it doesn't say the average for the year, but you get average per game, which is usually around the 40 mark, which isn't too bad according to what you're saying. Yeah. But only 150 plus, which I guess is good for your offense. But I want to see some longer bombs, mate. Come on.
Yeah. So I'll try and pull one out. We'll pull one out for you next time, then.
Yeah, perfect.
I'll see what I can do.
What would be harder, a 50-yard punt or a set shot 50 metres out?
Probably a punt 50 yards, because you're basically having to go for a spiral, because obviously the line of scrimmage, it's measured from the line of scrimmage. So if you get 51 yards...
so it could be a 60-yard punt because you're...
So technically, because I start 14 yards back, and I sort of kick it from about 11 yards away from the line of scrimmage. I usually take three yards to kick it. So for me, that's probably a lot. That's further than a shot from 50 in footy. And obviously, it's the pressure of catching the ball and then having to kick it so quickly adds on to that. But I mean, it's different games. Honestly, I know at the end of the day, football players in Australia do adapt well to the sport because of handling football and kicking like we've done since we were kids. But once you get into it, there's a lot of learning that takes place, and a lot of tough times, but it's part of the fun, part of the experience. That's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. That's pretty much all I've got for you today, mate. I know you've stayed up semi-late. I know it's almost dinner time and Mum's cooking for you in the background, which is awesome. But I do appreciate you jumping on with me today. So we'll give it one more plug. So Huey's, where do we find all that stuff?
So on Instagram, hueys.co. The website is hueys.co as well. So just go on there, and it's still early days, as I said. And but yeah, if you give us a follow and have a look at the clothing range, and that'd be great and fantastic. I appreciate you giving me the shout out, and hopefully I see a few more people with Huey's clothing on.
I'll be definitely we'll tag it in our post and everything like that. So that's great. And you said it's only early days, but the charity that you're starting to get up and about, where can we find that?
So it'll probably be set up for next year. So if you search online, it's called Days for Girls. So it's about like sort of developing countries and making education more accessible to people that aren't as privileged as Americans or Australians back home.
You spat it out a lot better this time than you did the first time, which is
good.
Awesome, man. Keep kicking goals over there, and I look forward to. I'll come over for the college ball game when you make it this year.
All right, sounds good, mate. It'll be good to see you there.
Yeah, bloody oath. Appreciate it, mate.
All right, mate. Take it easy. Have a good day. Don't sleep too much today, mate. I know you didn't sleep much last night.
Oh, you can see the bags under my eyes, can't you?
Thanks,
mate. I'll speak to you.
All right, bye.
Easy as that, mate.